Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu is in even more trouble than we knew, and we knew it was in big trouble. The Walt Disney's latest foray into Star Wars could be on its way to a horrific flop, now projected to perhaps make less than $400 million at the worldwide box office. Today, we'll tell you why it's red alert time at Lucasfilm. It's a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day, folks. Welcome back yet again to the Pro Channel, where we are making our way through the hallowed halls of Hollyweird. Folks, if you'd like to understand entertainment, subscribe today. Click the like button, and let's dive in right now. There's trouble in paradise, and paradise looks a little bit like Lucasfilm these days. Oh, boy, this is not good. Nicholas Tan has this from coming soon. .net, the defense is here. The spin has already begun. The Mandalorian and Grogu finds the way with high box office prediction. I'd like to know what we're high on here, talking about this headline, because it's not a box office. I'm telling you, the spin is here, but they cannot win with it. The upcoming Star Wars film, it says, The Mandalorian and Grogu has received a solid early box office prediction about a month before its May release. Instead of creating the fourth season of the popular Mandalorian show on Hulu, Lucasfilm decided to condense it into a movie that will bring the Star Wars franchise back to the silver screen after a 6-year hiatus. 7-year. Pedro Pascal returns as Din, or Mando, alongside the still silent Grogu, in a new adventure that sees the pair fighting the good fight for the New Republic and joining forces with other characters from the franchise. 71 million is the projected opening. The media is telling you that it's a high box office projection. Things are not going well. The spin is not winning, and so if you go to places like Gizmodo, they are ringing the red lights. Jermaine Lucier says a new Mandalorian and Grogu video has me seriously worried. Lauren, I don't know if you've seen this one yet or not. We can scroll down and take a look at it. We can't play it because it's copyright by Disney, but they go through why you should go see the movie, and it's a lot of fluff. There's almost nothing new in here. It's Jon Favreau talking about the use of practical effects and CGI, and it's like, yeah, that's every movie these days. They even mix in, let me see if I can find it here. They're even mixing in video clips from the theme parks. I mean, this is bad. This is real bad. If we go to bam, smack, pow, Michael Patterson, this new Star Wars update has fans very concerned about the franchise. This might not be the way after all. This new update about the Mandalorian and Grogu's release weekend numbers aren't the most reassuring. This goes on to talk about the 71 mil. Let's see here. Actually, we're tracking lower now, 70 to 85. And I've got a fear as we get near to this that if this movie is not excellent, and I don't suspect it's going to be based on the way Disney really doesn't have a toy push, doesn't have a marketing push right now. Seems like even they are afraid of what could happen with it. If it doesn't make 70, Lauren, we're in a position right now where this is going to make a third or even closer to a fourth of what Attack of the Clones did, adjusted for inflation.
I don't think it's not going to make 70. I think it'll hit 70. But I
you think so?
Yeah, I do. But I think it's also going to have a pretty rapid drop off.
Okay, well, this is what I'm driving towards, Lauren. If this movie fails as badly as it's starting to look like it might, what is there for Star Wars? Like, I know we've said dead franchise, and we've kind of, but like this, I don't know where it goes if it stays off the big screen for 7 years and comes back and makes a fourth or a third of what Attack of the Clones did. I don't know what it does. Like even Starfighter then becomes a question. Any Disney Plus show becomes a question. Ahsoka season 2, it's like, what are we doing now?
Well, my thesis has been that I think they recognized after The Acolyte that serious brand damage had been done and that they could not allow that to continue. And so I think internally they stopped production on pretty much everything except The Mandalorian and Grogu and Starfighter, and they just waited Kathleen out. I think there's an internal recognition that the fans are not happy, the brand is damaged. They know something is wrong. I don't think that they understand how to fix it. And so I think them holding their breath internally, I think is probably really happening. I don't think they have confidence in this movie. I think right now that's actually a good thing. I don't want them to have confidence in any movie right now. I want them to be absolutely puckered and trying to understand what does the audience want. So far, they haven't been interested in what the audience wants. Now, there have been third parties that license the brand that have produced good content, and there have been some things that I think Disney internally has gotten right almost by accident. But by and large, most of the content that they have produced has been bad. My feeling is that The Mandalorian and Grogu and Starfighter are being positioned as an A/B test. I think that they are looking at it and seeing, okay, if The Mandalorian and Grogu fails, that might tell them, okay, maybe we need to stop doing so many callbacks, maybe so much jokey stuff, maybe we need to be a little bit more serious. They're going to try and push Starfighter. The problem with Starfighter is that it's in the sequel trilogy era or beyond it. And I don't think people want that either. So my expected result, I don't think either film is going to do well. I think Starfighter might do better if they have good space combat and if Ryan Gosling continues to draw in an audience from Hail Mary. They may take the wrong message from that if it does well. And so I'll be curious to see what other content do they start putting out besides that? Because I think that's when they start producing more stuff, whether it be games, whether it be new TV shows or movies, it'll tell us what are they thinking? What era are they looking at? What do they think we want? Because right now, I don't think they really know.
Well, the High Republic is dead, right?
Yes. Yes.
No more. What other eras are even available?
Well, I mean,
the Old Republic.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll touch that. I think that they have been wise enough so far not to. And one of the interesting things about that, if you've been following the MMO, it is the only thing that is still producing Legends era content. Broadsword took over the management of the game from BioWare, and they're in the middle of a complete engine replacement, which means that they're actually they plan to continue to support the Old Republic for several years into the future. And that tells me that they're still making enough off of their cartel market and subs that it's a going concern for them, and they don't want to kill that.
Now, Wiz, you know that we follow the drive-by media, and we follow the wokies, and you do too, and we understand them better than they understand themselves. Wiz, I am used to the spin. I am not used to them flailing so badly trying to find any way to defend a film a month ahead, and I want to show you. Because I said at the beginning of this segment that they are spinning, but they're not winning. This is how desperate we are right now, Wizard, in terms of the woke drive-by media, the shills. From inverse, The Mandalorian and Grogu runtime is a good sign. Here's why. Yep. If you came to me and said, Pro, you got to write an article. We got to have something positive. Can you do an entire article on the runtime? Good Lord. Like, is that how desperate we are for anything we can say that's positive? Holy moly, Wiz.
Pro, we called it on your show months ago when they first started talking about when the acolytes of Lucasfilm started talking about how, oh, this Mandalorian and Grogu movie doesn't have a big budget. It doesn't have a big budget. And that was setting the stage for this movie to underperform. And they're still going to run around and say, oh, but it's profitable. It's a profitable movie, even though we know that somebody's not fully telling the truth. Oh, this movie's fun. It's a fun Star Wars. We're all about having fun with Star Wars. No, it's all spin. It is all completely spin. The fact that we're looking at, as we talked about, and we talk about all the time really now, is that this is going to underperform every Star Wars movie pretty much ever made. The brand cannot be in a worse shape than it's in right now. The fact that you have a Star Wars movie coming out.
Don't say that. They'll find a way.
It's Lauren, the ship has sailed. We're done. I'm kind of ramping to a point that I want to make, which is it is gonna scare you, Lauren. Look at right now. We have a Star Wars movie about to hit theaters in about 40-ish days, and I don't see anyone talking about it other than us, because that's what we do. We pay attention to these things, but people aren't talking about it. Ask anyone on the street, hey, do you know there's a Star Wars movie coming? No one's going to know, and no one's going to care. You don't see any of the toys in Target and Walmart. You don't see new stuff. It's hard. You see stuff from season 2 of The Mandalorian. You're finding more Star Wars toys in Ollie's than you are in any conventional store today. And I say all of that as a buildup to kind of play on what Lauren was saying, is that, yeah, this movie's probably going to underperform. Starfighter has so much baggage on it. Because here's what happens. Because Mandalorian and Grogu is not going to do well. They're going to tell us it did well, but same thing with Hoppers. They're telling us that Hoppers is doing well. If you do a little bit of math, you figure out they're full of crap.
Right, it's a huge flop.
It's a huge flop, but they're presenting it as if Hoppers is incredible, but it's not. Starfighter is not going to do great, but as Lauren said, it will do better than Mando and Grogu because it's got the star power. But here's what's going to happen. Both of these movies are going to fail. And we also know, here's a really big point, Ahsoka Season 2 is the end of the Mandoverse. They're done. They're pulling the plug on this. There's no more Mandoverse, allegedly. That could change if, for some reason, something makes money.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a great point. That is a fantastic point.
So they're pulling the plug. But here's what happens. When Starfighter underperforms, which it will, that's when we're going to start hearing Star Wars getting remade. Because they can't milk it anymore. They are going to redo the original movies because they need to keep making Star Wars. They have to keep making Star Wars, but they cannot do it in the current canon. They need to. Gen Alpha is not interested in Star Wars, and that's who they need to get on board. And they just don't care at all.
I want to counter that point, and I'm possibly going to make a small concession to Pro here.
Oh boy, here we go.
They do have one more card to play, and it's the only card they got left in the deck. And
cameo time.
Well, that's not exactly.
It's too late.
No, I'm not thinking cameo. I have said for a very long time, and there have been a lot of stories coming out saying that Disney has repeatedly told authors that they cannot use Mara Jade in the Star Wars universe. I don't believe they will do so. I don't believe they will do so. But if they are truly desperate, that will be the thing that they bring out in Starfighter. That is the one card they have left. And the other point that I would bring up as a counterpoint is, you're right, anything they're producing right now ain't going to be a draw. But next year's the 50th anniversary. And
don't be surprised.
Supposedly they're going to put out the unmolested versions of the original movies.
Now you watch your YouTube stuff over there. You be careful about what you say. Hey, Lauren, Luke's son. That would be the level of desperation they could go to.
It's too late. And when that underperforms, which, Lauren, I think you're 100% on the money, and when it underperforms, time to do it all over again. That's what's going to happen.
I think if you really want to make the fan base angry, it's like that will not go the way they think it'll go.
I got to go to Andy. I got to show Andy some numbers that are just amazing. Talking about the spin, okay? Bam, smack, pow, back to that article. I want you all to listen to the spin. If you have any knowledge whatsoever of how the box office works, you're going to understand. This is just sad. From Bam Smack Pow, it says, all that being said, there is something that is working in the upcoming film's favor. It's relatively low budget. Would you look at that, Wiz? The Mandalorian Grogu reportedly has a budget of $166 million. If the domestic opening weekend numbers are even on the lower end of that early tracking prediction, there's a pretty strong chance that it could clear that number when you factor in international numbers on the weekend of release. Remember, Star Wars is a globally successful franchise, and The Mandalorian is a globally successful series. There's little reason to think that the international market won't make up a huge part of the film's worldwide takings. And with the film likely having a break-even point of around 300 to 320, it should turn a profit. Boy, howdy.
They're selling it. They're doing their best, but even right there, we called it.
Boys and girls, I don't know if you all know this, but it costs money to advertise a movie. And for a Star Wars movie, I'll guarantee you, with Super Bowl ads and all that, as ineffective as they've been, I'll guarantee you Disney spent at least $150 million in the marketing. So even if Disney didn't blow the budget, even if they kept it, let's keep it a round number, 150, okay? Because they've got 130 to 166. Even if they kept it at 150, which would be crazy and would be less than the cost of a single season of Mandalorian, even if they did so, be half of the cost of a Mandalorian season. Even if they did so, Disney would still have $300 million invested in this film. And that means the break even, because they get about 50% back, is $600 million. So double what this article believes is the break even. And that's not a leap of faith. That's not crazy talk. That's just like, hey guys, hey, you forgot something. You forgot a big something. You forgot that prints and ads, marketing, it actually costs money. It's not free. I know you can't believe it. Andy, this is the level of desperation. We are now at a point where the drive-bys, just like Wiz said, the drive-bys are claiming $300 million is break even. And anything above that is a win, which is crazy talk, Andy.
No one believes that. They can say it all they want. They can say that eventually, how much of this was shot in the UK, we're going to find out how much it cost anyway. One of the things that Lauren said that was particularly disturbing to me was that...
Of the many things that Lauren said that are despicable and disgusting to us. Yes, go ahead.
When they got to the Acolyte, they realized that there was brand damage. All the way to the Acolyte. That's kind of like that toilet paper warehouse in California that the guy just burned down to the ashes, right? That's like Disney owns that warehouse right there with all the toilet paper. And they're looking at all the things, and they turn around and they yell at somebody, put that cigarette out. You've already burnt everything down. You got to the Acolyte before you realized something was wrong?
Well, I think they realized something was wrong, but I don't think they realized just how severely damaged they had made the foundation. I think that they had been selling the story that it's a vocal minority, and I think some of them actually were enough in the bubble that they believed it. But there came a point when the Acolyte came out, and the reason that I center on the Acolyte is that they took the unprecedented step of coming out and saying, we've canceled this series, we're not going to do it again. They never do that. Never. And after that, all of the news on everything behind the scenes that they were working for went dead silent.
Well, my point was that, like, when they're going through all this with the all right, yes, the Acolyte, there's a problem with it, and what are they going to do? The biggest issue I feel is that there's too many people in the way for them to backtrack. Somebody there knows what they have to do, and anything that they touch, there's people sitting there. Like, it's like the mother-in-law at your house sitting there watching, like waiting to pounce. Like when you don't, refill the, empty the dishwasher for her daughter in time or whatever. It's like they're still the people with the messaging mindset there. And they still have a voice, and they still have a lot of clout and power. So you're trying to navigate this minefield about what can I do to make this profitable and get people interested in it? Because, like, I don't know how many kids today are actually interested in Star Wars. They certainly haven't gotten enough in most of the... I mean, if you think about it, I'm old, so I take things with a certain perspective. I can look back 25 years, and I still wasn't young, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I'm pushing 60 years old. It's like, let's go back 30 years, and I'm still 30, okay? So, but these kids, there hasn't been a good Star Wars show for most of their life. You look at the titles, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, all really cool. Mandalorian and Grogu. Oh, that's exciting. That's something that's really going to get people. And what do they put out there? You see Babu Frick and his family as the merchandising they're putting out there. And look at the prices on these toys. Kids don't want to play with toys right now, but you also can't afford them. They're like $30 for like a 3 3/4 inch figure for some of these things. And there's nothing anybody wants out of these new things except for the classic merchandise. If they would just look at what sells and what doesn't sell, the answer would be right there. But I don't think that there are people in place that will not allow them to address that elephant in the room that says you're going to have to retcon the sequel trilogy somehow. You're going to have to move past it. If Wiz is right and they do something that stupid to remake the original films, it was lightning striking when you had that ensemble that got together that worked so well together. People have been trying to make these films with a great cast that meshes really well for 100 years, and you can count on maybe two hands how many times it's actually worked. And usually it's just blind luck. You're not going to get a new Harrison Ford. You're not going to get a new Carrie Fisher. All right, Mark Hamill, you could probably get somebody else to do a Luke Skywalker. But really, it's like, you're not going to find that kind of talent to replace these people with. And it's the same thing Harry Potter's going up against. those actors, despite what they turned into, like, and turning on J.K. Rowling, did their job really well. You have a high bar for these new actors to meet. You know, Black State notwithstanding, they have a high mark to even match what these other actors did. And you're going to try and do that with Star Wars? Jesus, they haven't made a compelling character in all the time they've owned this thing. I mean, the best character they had was Gina Carano, and they fired her.
Right, right. And they still haven't recovered from it. Still haven't.
Yeah. Anyway, the budget on this thing is going to be irrelevant because it's going to be a one and done. Is anybody excited about this? Do you see anybody rewatching it?
Andy, look at that face on the screen. That looks to me like a low budget CGI face. I mean, I believe them on the budget. I mean, look at that. Look how horrible. It looks like a PlayStation 2 CGI cutscene.
And it's dark again, too, like everything else. It's dark and muddy.
Hey, Wiz, let me hand it back to you, but I'm going to take a chance, okay? For once in my life, I'm going to play the clip. I'm going to see if I can keep it under 5 seconds. There's a level of cringe you need to see. And if Disney comes and gets us, Disney comes and gets us. But I got to play. This is the promotional thing for the Mandalorian Grogu that we've got right now. Here it is.
All I see is his little face. You cannot but fall in love with that little face.
We have Grogu, we have Anzalans.
You can't help but fall in love with that face, Wiz. Sigourney said it. Just too cute.
There's certainly something about that face, but I really want to
look at Andy. He's like, what is this, Care Bears? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I want a football that looks like Grogu. That's what I want.
Go ahead, Wiz. Go ahead.
There's something that Lauren said that I really want to hit home with because it really ties up everything that's going on here. Lauren, you were saying something along the lines of, Lucasfilm, do they really think, what's going on inside? Have they figured it out at all? And it snapped me back to a moment in 2023 before I became the fake wizard. I met Sam Witwer in person, and I asked him, what did he think? And I can't believe I've never brought this up before on stream. I asked Sam Witwer, how were the relationships in there, and what did they think? And there's a lot of like negative buzz, and this was before the Acolyte. I was still a Star Wars apologist. And he said, every time there is a controversy, this is Sam Witwer, who right now has his own show on Disney Plus with the Maul series. And I asked him, what do you think? And how are things inside Lucasfilm when there's controversy? Everything that goes wrong and people talk about it. And he says, well, all my connections at Lucasfilm, I usually text them when things blow up online. And I say, hey, is this as bad as the YouTubers are making it out to be? And he says routinely he would always get texts back, whether it was Dave Filoni, whether it was anybody else, or he's got a lot of friends there. And I really like the work that Sam Witwer has done. And he says every single time they would text back and say, we got it all under control. There's nothing going on here. It's just a bunch of YouTubers being loud again. Mm-hmm. And what's really funny is fast forward to today, right this moment, we have Sam Witwer on Twitter pulling up and saying, this is 3 hours ago, I'll say it again. You need not have watched any Star Wars to understand and enjoy Maul Shadow Lord, which makes me think things are as bad as they seem and no one's watching this show. And if we can't even get people to watch a show dedicated to Darth Maul, no one cares about little football Grogu.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, any of that at all. I think the one difference that we have right now is forget about the talent and the people that are having to defend the product that they're making. None of the toys are selling. No interest is being registered on Google search. Nothing is moving the needle. And that makes the people who control the money very nervous. And that's why I think after the Acolyte, I think somebody in the money department said, you're going to stop this now. And the problem, my thesis is that Lucasfilm doesn't know how to fix this because the one thing the fans want is the one thing they can't give us because they missed their window. It's too late. Their only option to give us what we want now is an animated movie, and I don't think that would satisfy the fans either. So they have to figure something else out. And that's a near impossible task. I think there are ways you could do it, but it would be a very heavy lift and it would require a lot of patience.
Let me ask one final question. If Luke Skywalker shows up in this movie and has an extended part that we're not fully aware of right now, if that happens and we get sort of like the end of season 2, beginning of, well, and then the Book of Boba Fett, if Luke Skywalker is in there for a third of the film, does that change the box office?
Maybe with the casuals, but I think that if you want to have some type of a sustained ramp up, you have to do something that explicitly disclaims the sequels, and they won't do that.
I hear you, and I agree with you, but if Luke's there, I think they make $200 million more than they do if he's not.
I don't think even that much.
We had a fellow on Doomcock show about a year ago. He's a very good friend of ours, Pro. He played one of the stormtroopers on set. He was there and he saw firsthand all those things that we were talking about, but he was under an NDA and couldn't talk at the time. And when everybody was saying, oh, that's bullshit, there's no such thing as a civil war on set, this guy saw the whole thing and spilled the whole beans after the NDA expired. So it's like when Sam Witwer had all these people telling, oh, no, it's fine. I think it's pretty clear now that somebody lied through their teeth, that all these things were happening because there were people there that wanted good Star Wars, that knew how to make good Star Wars, and they were being told to shut up and your time's over. Like, move over. We're going to show you how it's done. And that's what they can't recover from.
I know we got to wrap, but it seems evident to me when I look at how good the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian are under Favreau, and then Filoni comes in more strongly. Something happens, something changes. There's no way Favreau goes from being that good in the first 2 seasons to Book of Boba Fett, where the only episode that's worth watching is the Luke Skywalker episode, and that doesn't have Boba Fett in it. And everything else has been just awful. I mean, you got to take a Dramamine to get through some of this stuff. We don't need to talk about Obi-Wan. The Acolyte's terrible. Ahsoka, I'm sorry. But somewhere along the way, Favreau lost the desire, I think, to be a part of this. I don't know if he's just fulfilling his contract or what, but this could be a very sad end to Favreau calling in to Disney and saying, hey, I think I can help you guys. No, sorry, Favreau. You really didn't want to step into this hive of villainy over at Lucasfilm. It is such fun getting to spend time together, folks, but we have come to the end of yet another video. Well, that makes the mainstream scratch their heads, pull their hair out, and wonder, how is it we continue to do what we do? But you know what we do this for? It's for you. To keep bringing all the knowledge of entertainment, explaining what's going on in Hollyweird each and every day. And you can help us continue on that way by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. Share this out on your favorite social media platforms, and we would love to have you drop a comment right on down below. Share your thoughts because, well, your thoughts truly do matter, and we mean it. As we get ready to say goodbye, we end with the common refrain. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.